Oh my God, that was fun, man.
Well, that was one word for it. Half of it was good, anyway.
I'm gonna show you. I want to show you this cool lick. Really fast.
Do it.
Okay,
this is the whole reason I do these things, so I can learn licks.
This is my bad Stevie Ray Vaughan impression. So let's do this real quick.
Yeah. Hang on, let's get it.
Yeah, and then you go. Hit this. Do it like this. That's that lick. That's that Stevie Ray kind of.
Awesome. That's it. Just 2 Skype lessons with Nick Johnson, and that's how good you get.
Oh my God! It's so good to be here. I've been watching this show for well, at least I want to say 4 years. Probably since the first album came out. Back when, unfortunately, he's not here. Back when I used to speak with Rob, and he was one of the guys that kind of helped me learn how to internet and how to use social media and. So it is amazing to be here. It is truly an honor. Yeah, so it's great to actually get a chance to come over here. And I came over here last year for a gig in Plymouth. Yeah. And I was doing a gig in Plymouth again this year. And I've started working closely with these lovely folks at Schecter. We're both using the exact same guitar. And Lee was like, come on down and we'll make a silly couple of videos and have a good time and be idiots on camera.
Well, I think that one of the reasons I wanted to do it is because it's a really nice opportunity for lots of guitar players out there to get to sort of find out a bit more about the man behind the sort of guitar, because I think sometimes these clinics they're always so kind of focused on the playing, or they're usually supported by a brand, and so you always feel like you need to talk about the brand a bit more. But kind of these things, it's more of an opportunity to just go, well, let's meet Nick. So
the real Nick.
The real Nick.
Not the deep dark secrets, but close enough. Yeah, close enough.
The Monday to Friday Nick. Let's avoid the Saturday and
Before
Sunday.
I take my wig off,
Nicola.
Nick.
So look, tell us. I mean, how long have you been playing guitar, and when did you when did you realise that guitar playing was going to be your way you wanted to make a living?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a loaded question, but I will certainly attempt to answer it. Yeah, so I'm 28 years old now, and I've basically been playing guitar for half my life, and I grew up in a very small town, a very non-musical family, and I don't know if that's normal. Like, do you have a musical family? Did people in your family?
They're quite musical.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm assuming your last name being.
Well, I say they're musical. They're all drummers, and I'm the only guitar player.
Oh,
so does that make me the
black
only
sheep.
proper musician?
Yes, it does. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I started playing when I was about 14 years old, and I didn't have a musical family, so I didn't have that. I guess not immediate support. It was more like, yeah, we'll buy you a guitar, and you're a 14-year-old, so it'll be a phase maybe, and you'll get through it, and then you can move on and kind of get on with your life. But I had a neighbor that moved in about, that's very Canadian of me, about a week or so before my 14th birthday, and I remember hearing him play guitar through his basement window, and the window was open, and I was sitting on the front porch one day, and I heard him playing. I think it was.
Let me give you some volume.
I think it was. If I can still remember how to play it. Something like that. Some pop punk stuff.
I was going to say that was like a Blink-182.
Yeah, it's exactly
vibe,
what it was.
yeah.
What's that other one? It goes. Let me just see if I can play. Yeah, that's what it was. And I remember hearing him play that, and at some point I got up the courage and walked over, knocking the door, and can I come down and listen to you play guitar? And he said yes. He was nice enough. He was a year older than me. And when you're 14 or 13 and there's someone a year older than you, that's a massive gap. Yeah. That's like 2 years old and cool guy. That's a huge difference. So he let me come down, and I watched him play guitar for a couple hours. And he's like, grab it, and okay. And I'm left-handed, so I didn't know. I can't play I can't play your guitar. I'm left-handed. He goes, just take the guitar. So I grabbed it, and he's like, put your finger here, or play that, and then put your finger here. And I heard the note, the pitch rise, and I was like, that's it. That's a thing. I need to know more about that. Somewhere along the line, we lost track. But I emailed him recently, and I just want to let you know what I'm doing now is.
I'm quite good now. Watch this.
But the thing is, I sent him some audio, like a couple songs. He's like, that's not you. He's like, that's not you. That's not you playing. Like, prove it. Jokingly, of course. Not like an asshole. And I sent him a video, and he's just like, man, good for you. That's so cool, and I'm happy to have played a part in that. Soon after that, I got into the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hour days of practice, and not for any reason though. Not to become a musician, just to play the guitar.
This is in the 90s then. Well, no, this is
2001.
2001.
2001.
Yeah, I am old.
So guitar solos were not cool, at all.
Yes.
He was playing cool music. That was cool. Like that would have gotten you girls at that point. Not. That wouldn't have gotten. That wouldn't have gotten you anything. So for me to just be around what was like relevant at the time too, it wasn't like he was playing Van Halen, because I wouldn't have known what that was at the time. It's like, what is it?
That was kind of my next sort of question really. So who was the first guy that you, other than your next door neighbour, the first kind of guitar player that you heard and you really, because I certainly remember. I remember going through my dad's. Well, I had two moments, I think. I remember my dad having a fantastic vinyl collection of 70s classic rock stuff and listening to a Free.
Easy for you then, yeah.
Yeah, well, there were, as you say, loads. Free was the one where I just went, whoa.
Yeah.
But the guy that made me want to play guitar was the... and I know I will be hated for saying this, but I got into Pink Floyd just after Roger Waters left.
Right.
And so I don't really... my earliest memories of Pink Floyd are the Dave Gilmour kind of Delicate Sound of Thunder thing.
Of course.
And he was the guy that just made me think. But so I think everybody has a person.
Yeah.
Who was yours?
I think similar to you with your father having a collection, I was kind of from a really early age. Even I can think back to about 2 years old, and I remember hearing Robert Plant screaming, and my mom being like, turn that off. And not quite knowing what that was, not quite understanding it, but then hearing Page's guitar playing, it was almost like incubated for all those years. And a lot of Black Sabbath, Pink Floyd, a lot of that. Although my dad calls them Stink Floyd, of course. Fun fact, I guess. Or something.
I don't know.
And
Mr. Johnston, what are you doing?
And so Zeppelin is that Song Remains the Same tape, the VHS tape. Anyway, so I, of course, as a teenager or a young kid, you want to rebel against your parents. So I was like, I rejected that music. Even though I had no choice, I had to listen to it. I was like, I don't want to have anything to do with that. Okay, here's another fun fact. My dad had a copy. He doesn't play guitar. He had a copy of Flying in a Blue Dream.
Right.
Because he liked the song Big Bad Moon. He goes, hey Nick, come in here, because I just started playing guitar. He goes, come in here and listen to the song. It's called Flying in a Blue Dream. He played me this instrumental song, and I hated it so much.
Really?
I didn't get it. I don't.
Yeah.
At that point, instrumental guitar. Why isn't there a singer? What is with that drum machine? What is with that cheesy guitar tone? And of course, later it became the exact opposite. And I didn't get it at the time at all. So it took many years for me to even understand what I was, like I'd look back and go, what the hell was that? But it was never for me until maybe I was in my late teens. It was never guitar for the sake of being tacky or being, impressive with shot. It's just I loved playing. I wanted to be around the guitar more. I wanted to hear more. I wanted to understand why certain things sounded a certain way. But it was a self-discovery thing. It wasn't, I want to play in a band. I want to, make $1 million. And because I lived in a small town, it was very isolated. Yeah. So I played alone, and I didn't have the internet. I didn't have a phone where I could check on shit and tabs and videos. So, I had my ears, which is really important, and time. Yeah. I always say to anyone who asks, about practice, what's the most important thing? And for me, it was isolation. It was that was my greatest gift. My parents' greatest gift to me was leaving me alone.
Ignored you.
Leaving me, yeah. There'd be. I'd come home from school and they wouldn't ask, did you do your homework?
I'm not entirely sure this is potentially not good parenting tips here. We're not saying
no, of course not. No, and I don't have
Lock
kids.
them in a room.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
A guitar.
Exactly. But they were.
But
just,
it worked for you.
Yeah, they were just like, go do your thing. Clearly you're enjoying it and you're having fun and they were right there supporting it and then from there, I'd say the big moment was when I heard Yngwie.
Really?
When I heard Yngwie.
So he's the man.
He's the guy, and he still is the guy. He's one of my. I was talking to Adam, the Schecter rep, we're talking about favorite guitar players. It's Yngwie for me, Eddie Van Halen, Jeff Beck, and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Right.
And it's always been those guys, and it will probably always be those guys because they kind of musically imprinted on me at a very young age.
He's my favorite. Yngwie Malmsteen, my favorite guitar quote of all time. Well, one of my favorite guitar quotes.
The more is more?
Yeah,
it's like so beautiful.
It's like, less is more. It's not possible. How is less more?
How could that be?
Surely more is more.
More is more.
More is more. It's like, it's like, yes, Yngwie.
That's it.
So completely Yngwie.
That's Yngwie, yeah. and I would read interviews with him and know it was very tongue in cheek and the classical thing. It's very, you can take it serious up until a point.
Yeah.
But ignoring all of that, just his.
Have you met him?
I've never met him.
Okay.
I'm afraid to meet him.
Really?
I don't know if I could. He's like to a lot of 70s and 80s teenagers. Like if they were to meet Eddie, they'd be like, yeah. I mean, it was definitely not the composition because when you're 14, 15, 16, whatever. At least I didn't care about writing. I just cared about playing. So I'd hear him just, oh my God, just doing this amazing stuff that I didn't know was possible.
Yeah.
And I'd hear him do like that for the first time. Like
come on, I now seems like an opportune moment for you to Yngwie out.
So if I hear hear that stuff, I'd lay in bed with the headphones on with a CD player, and how's he doing that? How the hell is he doing? And I didn't have the internet, so I didn't have any like tutorials or anything. Mm-hmm. So I eventually figured it out, just like the whole the sweep picking thing, which I can't really do that well because this is my bad hand. But that kind of stuff turned into like I do like the hybrid picking thing, so it kind of turned into like or like see if I can do more of that. That kind of thing. Which is pure Yngwie influenced. Even though it sounds nothing like him, it's still that aggression and that kind of that show of technique and just the fun of it. Like that's just fun. It doesn't mean anything, but it's fun, and that's why I'm into it. So
I got for like left-handed players out there, who I always kind of think. And this is purely from a guitar sales perspective.
Yeah.
It's such a drag for left-handed players to have such a small selection of guitars available to them, and often to have to pay a premium to get the guitar that they want anyway.
Yeah.
Do you, when if there's anybody watching this that's maybe just started playing or thinking about starting playing who are left-handed, are there any kind of tips that you would give about sort of trying to learn to play, essentially a conventional right-handed way? Or
it's a good question. I teach a couple kids that they're left-handed as well, but they play, I guess, the way they're supposed to play, I suppose. But for me, I think everything I played hockey, but I shot the opposite way. I played golf, it was the same thing. Baseball.
So you're one of these people that's maybe kind of like
it's kind of up the middle or maybe on the left side. And
does it give you an advantage? I mean, I always thought when naturally speaking, you look at what you do as a guitar player, and this hand appears to do the complicated stuff, and this hand the less complicated stuff. Although I think actually, as you get on, maybe not.
Maybe
So I wonder whether as a left hand, was someone that perhaps feels more inclined for this to be their more dexterous hand. Do you feel it gives you a sort of did you find doing some of that faster stuff seemed to come more naturally to you?
Yeah. I don't know if that's I don't know if I want to say it comes fast, but from my experience, I didn't really have to. A lot of the stuff I do, I don't really remember struggling with the technical thing. It was more so the coordination because this hand, I was always playing catch up, which is why if I was to do like some kind of legato-y thing where I'm going like. That was just so much easier, and this one would we'll just hit one note instead of trying to hit all of them, and then it became almost like a dance routine of these two fingers. Like I don't know how well you can see that, but if I'm playing like. They're just constantly.
There's lots of down picking and then using your second and third fingers for
the
sort of
upstroke
hybrid. Yeah,
when
the
you're
upstroke,
crossing the string.
yeah.
So I'd like to say that came out of frustration.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I didn't know what hybrid picking was when I first started doing it. There was no reference for it. Because I was about 15 when I started doing that. And yeah, I guess the short answer is I think there was a bit of an advantage with just the control, but then that was kind of bogged down by the lack of coordination. So I was still behind. I was still playing catch up regardless. And that's what I love about not having maybe tabs all the time or videos all the time, is you kind of develop in the way maybe you're organically supposed to develop. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but for me, it's kind of cool that my style developed out of a weakness, which is interesting.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that point. So now I think this takes us on quite nicely, but particularly going back to the sort of the Yngwie bit. When I first met you, you just released you had like 2 albums.
Yeah, I had 2 records
back
at
to
the
back.
Yeah.
And you had some pretty sort of stellar guest.
Yeah, so the first one's Public Display of Infection,
That's right.
and that was the debut album that I made in a weekend because I had no money and no time and no budget.
Who did the artwork on that, by the way?
Mark Rakoff.
It's
Rehkopf. He's
absolutely fantastic.
basically
artwork,
the art kind of director for all of my stuff. He does everything. He does all the posters. He does the videos. You name it. Check him out. Like his page. He's severely underrated, I think. And so that was the first record, 2011. And I look back on it now, and it's really, really nostalgic to think about how quick that was made, and the decisions that were made, and the stress that was involved, and having no money, but still I got to get this album out, even if it's not what I expect. It's just got to come out. So that was the first record. I learned a lot. I'm still very, very happy with the music. And the second record came out, and that's when things started to kind of shift a little bit more into like this world music. I had a lot of there's that one song with that's
Sorry, Rob.
that song. There's that Sand Monster song, all that stuff, and it's it kind of runs through this world music kind of thing. Shorter song format, really just hard hitting melodies, and then somehow I ended up getting Paul Gilbert to play on it, and Guthrie Govan played on that record. Which, looking back, it's the second album. I was unknown. How did that work out?
Well, you say you were unknown. I mean, I think even back then, I remember people were talking. I mean, I think it's unfortunate that any new guitar sort of virtuoso gets instantly compared to other more established virtuosos. And I kind of thought it was a bit unfair, really. I mean, I remember people comparing you to Guthrie, and I remember sort of thinking to myself, I don't really know that he's. I mean, I certainly remember the sort of the Django, right? That's a very Parisian jazzy kind of vibe coming through the second album.
Well, I'm always writing music. There's never a point where I don't have maybe 4 or 5 pieces on the go. Mm-hmm. Just I think it's healthy to just be creative as much as possible. Even when I'm doing like the touring and stuff like these clinics, I'll go back to the hotel and just kind of have my iPhone and sketch out ideas. So I'm always writing, and that means hopefully there's progression in your songwriting abilities. I think songwriting is just as hard. That ability is just as hard to develop as guitar playing, if not more, because you have to kind of sometimes put the guitar down, and if you write a guitar instrumental, a lot of times you're tempted to do guitar-y things, and that is a lot of notes or a lot of vibrato or a lot of different effects and different broad kind of tones and stuff, different guitars, which can sometimes be a bad thing because you get away from the intent of just making music, in my opinion. So from that whole kind of learning experience, writing the first 2 records, releasing them, just what you kind of have to do to move forward, I learned a lot about that, and that experience shaped how I was writing music. By the time the second one was out, just released, I had the third album fully written. There's an evolution in the songwriting in that it's a little bit more progressive, a little bit more dramatic, atmospheric, and I think I was just trying to keep it simple, but think about harmony. For example, that opening song, real simple melody. It's just. Once you hear that, it's kind of dumb. If I played it anywhere else on the neck, A little faster. It doesn't sound like it's not cool, but it's what's kind of going on underneath it, and that's this minor 9 chord. Can you play that, by the way? See if you can.
I'll do my best.
Yeah,
I'm stolen your Spectrum.
Cool, go for it. Roll your volume back just a tick, so it'll be like. About that, you know, there's something kind of dark and a little bit sexy about that that chord change. That chord change doesn't belong there. It's from a different key, but the way I'm tying that note together, it's the minor third of a B. Let's get kind of into the theory thing here. But then that note is now the major third of a B flat. So if you hear just like. No, it sounds like there's movement.
Yeah.
And I got really into that kind of more compositional side of things, and just everything kind of evolved around a new way of thought, keeping things simple, but just really basic melodies with dramatic harmony behind it. And I haven't really talked much about this, but in September, October of next year, I'm going to be releasing a new album that I did with Gavin Harrison, and that record is basically taking that style, pushing it forward. It'll be the first album where every song is in basically the same genre, which is a first for me, because I'm sure you've listened to stuff in the past. You're like, there's like this pop song, and then there's like reggae. What the hell are you doing? But that's just.
I think more so on the earlier ones. I thought Atomic Mind was quite a complete.
Got a little bit, got
you know, it
more
works
to that.
more as an album, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So,
what's your favorite tune off that album?
That song.
Oh, you like that one, do you?
It was I think it was like the first one I wrote for it, and it just something about it just.
Is there a lick? Is there a lick that you came up with on that album that you just thought, that's the one? Like the one we were talking about, the Ian Thornley one that he does, where it's just like, that's the lick. Then have you got that lick?
It's a good question. Oh yeah, I think I was doing something. There's this like long trade-off section where I'm doing that thing with Guthrie, and the chord progression's real simple. It's line or something where it's in D minor. I'm doing like because you have to shift kind of in between natural minor, Dorian. It's almost like so I'm doing this thing where it's like a D minor arpeggio. So it's like, and I go. It's like let's see if I can play. Something like that, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. We'll show me that one.
I'll show you that one. I'll tab it out. We'll do that one
later. We'll try that one.
So stuff like that. Just again, I was thinking more about the chords and the notes inside the chord. That's very guitar-y. That's like kind of flashy stuff. But it's fun. It's fun as hell to do that. And that's why do we have these if not for fun?
Well,
you know.
Do you know, isn't that good timing? So when did the lovely Mr. Schechter come along and say, "Hey, Nick, let's do a guitar together"?
Good question.
And what was it that you wanted in your guitar?
Well, I'll go back to the start of that and kind of catch up to present day. So, roughly November of about a year ago, actually, the wonderful and lovely Mr. Keith Merrow emailed Schechter on my behalf. Quick sidebar: that guy. I would definitely not be sitting here without Keith. What he's done for me is I can never pay him back.
Nobody's got a bad word to say about Keith Merrow.
He's the best.
He's like the loveliest guy.
He's the best guy. You, Keith, even Rob, he's been amazing.
Yep.
You know, Gilbert, like Guthrie Gilbert. You guys have done so. Anyways, I can kind of get all sappy here, but I'm not going to. Yeah, so Keith, he emailed Schechter on my behalf, and he said, "There's this guitar player, Nick Johnston. He's gonna be doing some really cool stuff. You should get him while you can because he'll move on and you'll kind of probably regret not getting, which was like he was talking me up pretty hard there. That's hard to deliver on. So I get an email about a day later, and it's from Mark Lacourt, the VP, and he was like, "Do you want to maybe check out a guitar, see what you think? Maybe we can work together." And then I got this guitar. This was just one they had kind of hanging out at the shop, and this is a USA custom. It's 100% stock, except I have these Duncan pickups, and usually I have the Texas Hot Seymour Duncan pickups, but these are the Alnico 2 ones I was trying out, and they're great, but I prefer the Texas Hots personally. Anyway, so it's 100% stock, and I got it. I opened the box up, played it. I was like, yeah, okay, here we go.
Because it's a little... I mean, you can see where the influences come from.
Yeah,
obviously
I think so.
On here.
Like an SG or no?
Yeah, I think it is. It's like but I noticed that the neck is a little wider with a slightly flatter radius.
Yeah, it's got the 12.5 thing and the 25.
Does that suit you more as a kind of more contemporary kind of player? Or?
It took me a little while to get used to it. The first thing that struck me was it was just everything just felt really, really solid.
Yeah.
And well maintained and well looked at. Because of the volume of guitars, the amount of custom shop guitars that come out of the factory every month, it's so low. They have the benefit and they have that luxury of being able to spend a lot of time with frets, picking the wood. The guts of this thing, if you were to take this plate off and look in there, it's like you could hang it on the wall. It's a piece of artwork. It's so beautifully maintained. That's just my fanboyism for what's going on here.
I think there's a lot to be said for that, though.
I think so, yeah.
One of my favourite guitars, and it's usually hanging around here somewhere, is a Squier Classic Vibe that I've
great.
gutted and remodded and everything. And for a while, I struggled a little bit with this idea of, the sort of price of some of these guitars compared to what that Squier did.
Yeah, you guys do all those videos.
Yeah,
great.
But I must admit, over as we've gone into winter here, and we move video locations as well, so there's been a little bit of a temperature and humidity sort of change. That guitar has been, I wouldn't say all over the place, it's a little bit unfair, but you could see why you wouldn't necessarily want to tour with a guitar like that. Whereas you get the impression with these kind of things, and I'm sure, if we were looking at other brands, similarly priced, you'd get a similar kind of vibe. They are that sort of touring grade, reliable.
And to further that, this is 100% true. I'm not kissing anyone's ass here. I took this to China and Taiwan, back to Canada a week ago or so. No movement. I haven't even changed the strings. I've tuned it once or twice. It is a freaking workhorse. Not only does it play beautifully, but it's rugged, which is usually the trade-off with a lot of these higher end guitars. It's like, they'll ding or the neck will move because they're these coffee table woods. Versus this, it's rugged and you're not afraid to put it in a case and put it on the airplane. And that was actually another reason why I was stoked to work with them, because I wasn't afraid to travel with it. With some of the guitars in the past, there's no way I would take those anywhere.
So is this a signature guitar, or is this just...
This isn't. This...
Right. Are you working on one?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this is just this is the production one. We have the same guitar right now. I have the different pickups.
I got a maple board.
Yeah, exactly. But spec-wise, just in terms of dimensions and what's happening, the interior of it, same thing. Yeah, so anyways, after I've been using this guitar for a while, we started to talk about, maybe not revitalizing, but reaffirming that they make an amazing custom shop line. They don't really have a guy doing that. So they approached me, like, would you like to kind of be the quote-unquote poster boy for the custom shop line? And, of course, I was like, what? Really? And they asked, do you want to do guitar? And about a month or two ago, I got this guitar from them that was very unique. I don't know if you saw the green one that I had done.
Yes,
yeah,
I saw it on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, it was social media. It was a Wenge neck with a I guess it'd be seafoam green body, and it was a master built guitar, and it's freaking amazing. However, it's too delicate, and honestly it's too expensive, and it's just there's just too much that could go wrong. So we decided that's more of a one-off, kind of a cool piece, just to show what the shop is capable of. And that was all built by their master builder, Tetsuo. And then they said, well, what can we do to maybe make this into a signature? So it's basically going to be the exact same guitar with a specific silver paint job based off of a specific guitar I used to play. And it's going to have my little logo on the back plate and my signature here with the Texas Hot pickups. Other than that, aged kind of parts, but bridge is going to be the same, still with the Graphtec nut, locking tuning heads. I don't think I can make this into a better guitar, so I'm not going to try and do that. I'm just going to maybe tweak a couple basic details, like the color, what's going on here, and that's it. And I'm going to play the shit out of it.
Well, I think I think that's kind of, I think, you know, that's always, I think, there's a danger when somebody says, do you want to do a signature guitar?
Man,
that you become this kid in a candy shop of going, well, it's got to have this and this and this, and I dreamed about having this, and da-da-da. And then actually, once you go through that whole cycle, you go, you know, all I really, really wanted was kind of like a slightly beefed up version of the guitar I learned to play on, you know, and away you go. I mean, I love the fact that you've come in, you've plugged into a tube amplifier, but no pedals, you know, all about just, you know, just about getting the guitar
kind
to talk and sing.
one to one kind of thing there. Yeah, exactly. And the reason I'm Eddie Van Halen was a huge influence on that because that was kind of what he did in the early days. But that kind of approach and the approach of keeping it simple, I've learned since doing some of these clinic tours and stuff that most of the time that's all you need. You don't need a guitar that has so many options. You can make a cappuccino with it, or you know, like
that would be a good option.
Switch. Yeah, actually, that would be a good.
Yeah, that would be a good.
You know, all these little switches and buttons. Like it's great and everything, but do you need it? Do you really like in a live application when you're
depends on the player, doesn't it?
I guess it depends on the player. I don't particularly need it, but when it's a fly-in thing, you just want to get a good tone. You want a solid guitar you can rely on, and you never know what amp you're going to use. So I like to have just something I know 100%. I practice with. This is the first guitar I grabbed. There's no difference to what it would be from day to day, and there's just like pride in this guitar. I really believe in this guitar, and
it's awesome. And I love the fact as well. It's Schecter over the last 30 odd years have sort of been forgotten, if you like, for what their roots were. It's all been about kind of, the Diamond series and the high gain and the 7-string and the Floyd, and I guess people forget that they were, along with Charvel and all those kind of, they were one of the original kind of, hot-rodded custom Strats, and it's kind of nice to see them coming back. I love the fact that you've wanted an artist guitar that is good value.
Yeah.
It's clearly important to you as a player to kind of just stay real, if you like, and
exactly.
accept that most guitar. We were saying while we were having lunch, it's like, how many gigs have you done where you can't even afford to pay the other guys?
I know.
So I don't think we should assume that every guitar player's got like a $5,000 budget for their sort of rig.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would, yeah.
And I think I don't think this guitar is like the best guitar. I don't think any guitar is better than any. Like once you get to the custom shop line, it's all good.
Better's the wrong.
It's all good. It's just it's feel. It's tactile. You have to play the instrument. I've played guitars that are worth 10 times this guitar, and no mojo, no, I don't know what the word is, magic, or there's no life to it, or something. And again, when I played this for the first time, I was like, there's something here I need to be a part of, and I need to just back. I need to be behind it.
I think that is an opportune moment to hear you do. I shan't destroy your thing by accompanying you. You can just do your own thing.
Okay, I'll mess around a little bit,
if you mess around, but on that note, I'm just going to say it's been an absolute pleasure having you over.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to the clinic tonight.
Yeah, me too. Should be a lot of
thanks
fun.
for showing me that Stevie Ray Vaughan lick. I
promise
by
the
time I next see you, I will have learnt it.
Cool,
but
man.
anyway, look, this is Nick Johnston. I'll put a link in the description below for where you can go to his website. Check out the albums, old or new. They're all very, very cool.
Thanks, Lou.
And I'll put a link into where you can find out more about these guitars as well.
Thank you,
so here we are. Take it away, Nick.
Okay. Kind of cool.